Hello and thank you for joining us on the program from the National Assembly. I am Lami Ali. Recently, the House of Representatives set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the challenges in the power sector towards a holistic review for effective service delivery. The committee invited regulators, operators and consumers of electricity towards finding lasting solutions to the problems bedeviling the sector. That is our package on the program today. House Leader and Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee on Investigation and Review of Reforms in the Power Sector, pointing to regulators what is on the minds of Nigerians pertaining to poor service delivery in the sector. Several policy reviews and financial interventions, he added, are yet to translate to the yearnings of Nigerians.
It is with gratitude to God that I welcome you all to today's investigative hearing. You may recall that almost a month ago, this ad hoc committee was inaugurated right here by the Right Honorable Speaker to kickstart the activities relating to the investigation and review of activities of the power sector, following a resolution of the House at the plenary. Since then, we have made efforts to carry out our mandate genuinely and painstakingly. We communicated with experts and relevant stakeholders, and today, by Allah's grace, we are hosting this important public hearing. There is no doubt saying that the power sector is critical to our nation's industrialization and development. Interestingly, we are made to understand that the greatest issues bedeviling the sector after the unbundling of the defunct National Electric Power Authority is the inability to effectively transmit and distribute electricity supply across the country for our businesses and our respective homes. The sector is also confronted with the issue of liquidity, with the gas suppliers claiming billions of naira being owed them. Another major challenge is the fact that the tariffs are not cost-effective. While we appreciate the efforts of the institutions created from the unbundling exercise, particularly the GENCOs, DISCOs, who now have the capacity to generate over the 10,000 megawatts, it is in fact becoming clearer from a layman's perspective that the DISCOs and transmissions agents must do more if we anticipate any form of ambitious and improved electricity supply in the country. The inability of some of these institutions to meet the covenant obligations they entered into at the time of privatization has reduced the capacity to enable reliable and quality electricity supply for both domestic and commercial use. Sadly, it appears to the common man that there is hike in electricity tariff without corresponding increase in the quantity and quality of electricity supply in the country. This indeed is the crux of the matter under discussion today. The federal government, in reaction to the inability of value chain players to meet their basic covenant obligations, therefore invited the German government to help the poor state of our power supply and power and electricity supply in Nigeria. This is the true situation that crystallized in what is now called the Siemens intervention deal. Incidentally, however, the above and many other concerns are the reasons we invited various stakeholders and well-meaning Nigerians to this important public hearing. It is our belief that you shall be equipping the committee with ample information on the status of the power sector, next line of action, and the interplay between the major players in the industry. Let me emphasize at this point that we are not here to blame games or to witch hunt anyone. All we desire is to acquire accurate information and data to paint a clear picture of what the real situation is. It is from such information that the committee can now be effectively informed and to advise the entire House on the next action to take. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, stakeholders, as we prepare to commence activities here in earnest, I wish to call on everybody here present to avail the committee with adequate information on their respective roles, challenges, and way forward in the power sector. It is the aggregation of all your views and opinions that will eventually produce a working document for us and subsequently for the House of Representatives. Let me also, at this juncture, enjoin us to be law-abiding, maintain the COVID-19 regulations and protocols, and be very attentive as we listen to the presentations to be made by stakeholders at this event. Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Speaker, my honorable members of the committee, let me thank everyone here that has found time to be with us for the purpose of this engagement. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria and bless the House of Representatives. Thank you, and God bless.
Deputy Speaker Ahmed Idris Wasi, during the hearing, noted that the legislative intervention will address poor performance.
Colleagues and members of the public, this is a very, very important assignment. First, I urge you, on behalf of the Speaker, to do this work with the fear of God, diligently, believing that this is a very good sector that Nigeria is very much in need of its own survival, for our industrialization and for our normal living. It is a very, very important assignment because of the humongous money that have been invested over the past years in this very important sector. I want to say, with that fear of quotation, over 1.2 trillion has so far been invested. And there is no commensurate result. This is a very important hearing that could lead us to a very good path. And I want to believe that their work, I have no doubt in the capability and the composition of people who are assigned to this very important assignment. They are going to do a very thorough job. And remember that we have taken an oath to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is just a reminder. And that in complying with the Constitution provision to expose corruption and other things, this is where I will a little bit urge you to ensure that whatever is out there for us to see in the Parliament, you should kindly report your findings in the way and manner that has been found. I want to thank you very much, and I want to appreciate all of you on behalf of the Speaker, that I believe the composition is in no means one of the best chosen members committee that we have. And I believe you are going to do a very thorough job that Nigerians at the end of the day will be happy with your results. With these few remarks, I want to beg and plead that this is a very small room. And by our sitting arrangements so far, we are seriously breaching the protocol of the COVID-19. And by that, we are putting ourselves in danger. Some people have decided to even remove the masks. It is not right. I want to beg, and Chairman, please enforce it. Anybody who is not wearing his mask properly should not be allowed to sit in this place. Nobody should put somebody's another life in danger. Whether you think you are positive or not positive, the real protocol is that all of us should wear our masks, and I want to beg for that.
Stakeholders in their submissions say efforts are being synchronized to tackle non-availability of meters, tariff on electricity, as well as generation and distribution.
This exercise is 200 million, and we are doing that in exercise of a mandate, constitutional mandate and procedural parliamentary mandate given to us by the House of Representatives, which is one of the institutions that is charged with the responsibility of dealing with matters of this nature. Accountability, transparency, value for money, service delivery. And your agency, the chief executive of your agency, has not been communicated that for some exceptional reasons, unavoidable reasons, that he could not be here. If such was done, we could have taken maybe a second look at it. So I want to believe that the DG has now set a very wrong precedent in this engagement, and we will not take it lightly. This is a responsible family. We are operating on the mandate of the House. And it's also a responsible, very responsible and critical assignment that we are handling on behalf of the nation. It is quite sad and unfortunate, I want to say, and I want to repeat, it is sad and unfortunate General, who is the chief executive of that very critical agency in the course of this exercise, is taking the parliament for granted. I think it's one of the reasons why some of our members are now agitating that we need to have a bill or an act to address issues like this amounting to content of the legislature. We don't have a bill, unfortunately, but we have rules and regulations guiding our operation. We have constitutional provisions. We have also internal rules on how to handle matters like this. I still want to use this opportunity to encourage members. Let us come up with that bill. That bill will do a lot of good for us. A situation whereby an institution, government institution, that is funded by this wholesome National Assembly, this wholesome institution. I'm sure if he was called by the SGM, or if he was called by the Chief of Staff, I think this is a deliberate action to undermine the integrity of this house, and by extension, the integrity of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We will not take that. And I hope every other agency should be guided. This committee means business. This committee is wholeheartedly out to exercise this duty with all sense of commitment, with all sense of patriotism. So a situation whereby somebody will just sit back on the street or somewhere, hanging somewhere, just send a director to come and represent you, a very critical institution for that matter, is something that is unacceptable. Very unacceptable by this committee, and I believe by extension the House would not also accept it. It's quite sad we are starting on a very sad note. The first critical agency that is called upon to make presentations or is coming here in representation. I would like to, on behalf of the committee, rule that the DG BPE should be here unfailingly. The DG BPE must be here unfailingly to engage this committee. And I tell him that he is doing that not in our own interest. He is doing that in his own interest and in the interest of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whose commitment we have taken. And I believe even the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will never look at this lightly, will not take this lightly. We have an overall commitment to the people. When things like this come up, we have to respect the system. So he is here by director, because appearance tomorrow unfailingly, in person, not by representation. And by this ruling, we don't even expect any further explanation as to what is happening or what. In the first place, we have not been communicated appropriately otherwise. So that is the ruling, and I hope you will convey that to him. Honorable Mr. Director, I appreciate that you came to represent him, but you cannot be taken in the circumstance. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
To give a brief about the activities of our agency, that is NEPCO, the acronym for the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company. Specifically, the letter requested that the following information be provided: a comprehensive brief on NEPCO activities from inception, copies of the transfer order for asset transfer to NEPCO, including valuation reports and sale purchase agreements of disposed properties, detailed schedule of outstanding assets and liabilities, update on receivables, inputs on areas of the power sector reports and privatization that will need to be reviewed, input on the federal government Siemens deal, as well as the Governor National Vice Presidential Committee on the 40% residual shares, and we are to make submission of 25 hard copies. Mr. Chairman, sir, we've done that. We made our submissions as requested. And I'll be making a review of that submissions, which I believe is before these highly esteemed, respected members of this Honorable Committee. The review is in about 23 pages, but I will try as much as possible to compress it without missing the essence of what the contribution is meant to achieve. We also have attached to the document we submitted certain attachments as requested. Mr. Chairman, sir, in form of an introduction or a preamble preamble, NEMCO is the product of the electricity power sector reform, with a very specialized role to play in ensuring the success of the reform. It was indeed incorporated on August 21st, 2006 as a limited liability company limited by guarantee under the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990. As one of the successor companies, it was created under the EPSR Act, under the directive of the NCP, the National Council of Privatization, and was designed to assume responsibility for PACN liabilities leading up to November 1, 2013. November 1 is a very important date because that was when the privatization actually happened, the handover for most of the companies, with the exception of Abuja that happened about a year after, sometimes in December 2014. As well as the management of the non-core assets transferred to NEMCO. The essence in the wisdom of those that put together the power sector reformers at that time was meant to provide investors with the confidence that their investment in the successor companies will be free from encumbrances, from possible future litigations arising from huge debts, staff pensions, suppliers, and third-party liabilities. In other words, what this means is that the new owners actually assumed or inherited these companies without debts. The debts are supposed to be warehoused. The debts in this case pre-privatization by NEMCO. We try to also provide honorable members in page 4 of our submission what the enabling legal instruments are that gave NEMCO this mandate. And we started from the EPSR Act, sections 8 and 10. It's clear. And arising from that, there was also a transfer order that transferred the rights, obligations, assets, and liabilities of the defunct KCN to about 4 companies, of which NEMCO was one. And this culminated in putting up together a NEMAT. Then there was also a transfer instrument that was executed from PACN to NEMCO. This also led to the provisional transfer of some of these assets and liabilities by the Bureau of Public Enterprises through schedules. Again of note, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that there are 2 important agreements that formed part of the share sales agreement that was signed by government with the investors. Those 2 agreements form part of the annexures of that agreement. And those 2 agreements has to do with NEMCO. One is the pre-completion receivables agreement. The summary of that just says that any receivables outstanding before privatization is not theirs, they are supposed to be remitted to NEMCO. And also the pre-completion liabilities agreement. Now, to be more specific, Mr. Chairman, is to look at the object clause of the
like you just rightly said at this point, we would like you to only subject to the point. Most of these things you have already been supplied to us. Let's remember as that we take our time to go through those documents. In fact, we are taking our time to go through almost all of them. So just take us through the key presentation. By the way, even if it's by way of how we have a lot to cover through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just go to the critical aspect of the mandate. That is one, the liabilities, and also the non-core assets. Mr. Chairman, in our presentation on page 7, we gave a summary of the total liabilities that NEMCO inherited pre-privatization. On page 7, the total liabilities inherited as at 31st December 2019 stood at 912.5 billion. And we also tried with that page 7 to categorize where these liabilities fall into. In other words, we put them in lights of the nature or of peculiarities of those liabilities. And we cut across about 12 critical aspects. We have them there on page 7 of our presentation. From engineering creditors to gas supply, IPPPA liabilities, tax liabilities, legacy debts, all through we have the details there at the same time. And we also tried in that presentation to give a little statistical analysis of the percentage of these liabilities as it relates to the total liabilities inherited. And we will see that IPPPA liabilities constitute about 35% of what we are having. The same thing in that same page, we try to now give the summary of the status of these inherited liabilities. And that comes in page 8 of our presentation. And what we are now having on our books as at 31st December 2019 stood at 514.7 billion. It shows that there have been so many activities that has happened that caused the reduction.
Silence, please.
Yes, sir.
One house, please. Members, please. Let us concentrate very well on this, please. I think for the purposes of this sitting, I may have to appoint a chief whip. And I will also give an ultimatum, a time frame of 10 minutes for every speaker. Whoever comes to speak should be speaking within the boundary of 5-10 minutes. The reason being, we have your submission with us. About 5-10 days ago, we have got this submission. So, for the purposes of the conduct of this public hearing, on behalf of other members of the committee, appoint Miriam from Imo State. Please will act as our chief whip. We also coordinate the time, and whoever is getting out of order, you call him to order. I think I'm doing that very deliberately. I'm doing that very deliberately so that when she shouts at you, at least the boys will not be terrified. It's the voice of a very beautiful lady around you. Please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So quickly, so how do we get this debt reduced to what we have? The answer is actually in page 6, which has to do with the model we developed that we refer to as a triangular review model, which looks at the validity of information, verification and translation, and also is there, and also negotiations and fiscal solicitation window. So from that table, it will be seen, Mr. Chairman, that arising from that model developed, about 89.5 billion was actually saved from the federal government of Nigeria. Be that as it may, let me quickly go to the current status. What is the position as we speak now? The position as we speak now on 514.7 billion, Mr. Chairman, is that 499.7 out of it are actually categorized as contingent liabilities. Contingent in the case that they may and may not crystallize. And we have a remark column there that shows clearly the details of each of these contingent liabilities and what is currently being done in the agency to manage them. The other outstanding liabilities of about 15.012 billion are what currently we think needs attention in terms of settlement and the effort that is being made to handle them. Quickly, since to be within the time frame of 10 minutes, I'll go to the number of assets quickly, sir. The number of assets were transferred from BPE to NEMCO in 3 batches, with the schedules clearly indicated. The activities of the number of assets, we have it from pages 10 up to. What we try to do is to do a stock taking of those assets, do a preliminary audit, and currently embark on evaluation of the first phase of those assets as approved by the National Council of Privatization. We have that submission all through from 10, all through to 11, 12 of our submission, other not to waste our time. The critical aspect of our submission is the aspect of funding. How do we now get the funds to actually meet these of our obligations? We have the summary on page 13 of some of the sources of funding, the market operators during the intermittent period from funds to borrow. Our NTA get to publish and all through we have those on page 13. And then, Mr. Chairman, we made a humble proposal as to other sources of funding. Because networks and agencies actually and SPV are not supposed to be there forever. And we made a humble submission as to other windows that we think this esteemed committee can look at as a way of making us finalize our mandate so that we are off the space. And we made that submission on page 13 for the committee's consideration. We also did a submission on update on the syllabus, and we gave a summary there of what we received from consultants that were engaged to carry out that, and the current status. We were engaging with NAC. NAC has been a father. They've been very daring prophets here to see how they could best help us, and they communicated to those discourses and awaiting their responses. Of interest, Mr. Chairman, is from page 16, we tried to do a target forecast. Since it's an SPV, as to what with the time we think, then forecast still remain up when it finishes its assignment. And we have the forecast of 2022. If the assumptions we formally presented to this annual committee is followed. Then we did a little risk analysis on page 18 as to what we think is the risk analysis of the agency and how it can be mitigated on page 18. Then we give a little insight as to some of the anticipated industry issues. Since the essence of this committee is to look at the entire power sector, some of the anticipated industry issues that we are anticipating are likely to come up, and as it concerns NEMCO as an agency. One of them is the issue of TCN legacy liabilities. I'm sure TCN and they are likely to touch on it in their own presentation. The matter is still on, and we just give an insight that this is an aspect that will likely rub off on the agency, depending on how government decides to look at it. And also the issue of the shortfall in the industry, which has become of the critical challenge these days. We feel that some of these issues are issues that might likely rub off on the agency in the near future. We gave our input on areas of the power sector reforms. We are saying that it is important in view of this first attempt, this first model in the power sector, because it's actually the first whereby SPV was created, especially to warehouse the standard debts and liabilities of the sector. We feel that it's an area that can be looked at with subsequent privatization arrangement. Maybe if this IST committee can also look at that, then we make some attachments as what was requested of us to submit. Mr. Chairman, sir, and highly esteemed members of the committee, we want to stop here in view of the 10 minutes regulation that we will take place.
Chair and the leader, I want to explain further explain what the meaning of TCN liabilities. I want you to listen attentively. I'm going to read from a submission from one of these agencies. I want you to answer in either yes or no. Federal governments of National Council of Privatization also approved that all liabilities at the point of handover to private sector owners to be transferred to Nigerian Liability Management Company. The major reason of this decision was to free the companies from legacy liabilities that would have been hampered their capacity to raise debt capital to implement their program. End of quote. For this transfer to you, that the investors have clean balance sheets.
Those two parties are government authorities. And this was very rare in the federal government concerned about properties.
Welcome. We have an intention to let mention that government is special purpose vehicle, and at the time when set off for its citizen to guide its operation, because it appears now that the authorities are very
TCN wrote to the Ministry of Power concerning the liabilities in their books and how it was affecting their books. And in the wisdom of the Ministry of Power, they set up a committee to actually review those liabilities. I was privy to chair the committee and members also from other agencies. And we did our report, a very comprehensive report, and we submitted it to the Minister of Power. I learned that that report is due to be taken by the National Council on Privatization. But the essence of that assignment was to look at the possibility of taking those liabilities out of the TCN books to help them accomplish their mandate, especially as it has to do with some of the funds they were expecting from both local and abroad. But I think the TCN MD is here to be able to put more light to it. On the second aspect of the question, yes, sir, as I did mention, in the share sales agreement that was executed between government and the respective discos and GENCOs, there is the pre-completion liabilities agreement that form part of the annexure of that agreement. And what that says is that any liability before privatization that are in the books of the discos, please forward them to NEMCO. The agreement was very clear. And they did that. And it's from the submissions that we were able to put together the total number that I presented here, or the total inherited liabilities from the discos. We have what we received from each of the discos. The second question from the Vice Chair Power, discos occupying properties. Again, here, I think when the concept was being put in place for the privatization, it was agreed as at that time that the disco head offices will constitute a non-core asset. I will be having this challenge actually from the discos because they are saying that it shouldn't be a non-core asset, it should be a core asset since it warehouses their head office. But we found that challenge, but the disco offices are actually part of the schedule that was transferred to NEMCO. Now, as regards paying of rent, not all of them are paying rent. We made effort to ensure that they pay rent, but there was a problem at a point in time. And the problem had to do with, I think, the issues related to tariff or no tariff, cost or no cost. Because as at that time, when we pushed hard, there was this view that they would pass that cost into the system. And in order not to hit that quality that time, the issue of pushing too hard on the issue of rents now had to be slowed down a little. We also made an attempt to see how we could get those rents from the NTA debts that were supposed to be given to them. There are papers waiting in that regard to the Ministry of Power. That attempt too was made, but since the assets are with us and they are available for sale and they are likely to have the cost right of refusal, at that point when that will happen, we are going to recover all our rental costs from them before eventually we dispose those assets here. On the issue of the time frame of NEMCO, yes, I did mention from the last chapter of our presentation, we did a target forecast that if those things are followed, NEMCO is not supposed to remain in perpetuity. It's an SPV, it's supposed to finish its work, and then we are off the radar. I will submit a forecast for government. I will also submit to this esteemed committee that if those underlying targets and forecasts are presented, those underlying assumptions properly followed, by 2022 we think we'll be done with our work. Unless there's any other assignment that we'll do. We have that forecast to make it available to the committee. Honorable Maki, I'm laughing because he's one of our staff.
Okay, Maki is one of you.
And we did a lot of work before coming to the National Assembly.
Oh, great. God bless you.
If not for your protection, sir, I will have asked you to answer the question.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, sir, we developed this model because we thought that it's very critical with the assignment that was given and bestowed upon the agency to manage these huge liabilities. What best framework, what best strategy can we put in place to be able to manage these liabilities? More so that bring about the wisdom behind us putting together this model. And again, NEMCO is new. We didn't have any other agency to look at. Because it's actually new, the entire privatization agreement. So we developed this model, tested this model, and put it to use. And we saw that it actually worked. The details of that model is, I think, in page 6 of our presentation because of our time. But the model was to look at the brevity of the information provided, among others, the prudent review of the value, reconciliation, verification, very aggressive one. And then we introduced the aspect of discount solicitation because we saw that there's no way we can be able to make this once. So we asked government, and government gave us approval. So we now said for every deal above 5 million and above, let's solicit for 20% discount on the owners so as to reduce the amount involved. And Nigerians, as good people, you are giving us that discount. And when it worked, government said, okay, let's increase it to 30%. We increase it to 30%. So for every 100 naira, for instance, we're actually paying 70. And we got that from the creditors. So it's also part of the new model we put in place. So the summary of that model is with the aim of reducing the debt without cost as such to government. And that's what brought about the about over 9 billion trust that we saved from the federal government of Nigeria. We did very highly esteemed of ours. The headquarters of TCN, that is the powerhouse, yes sir, is actually supposed to be a NEMCO asset. It's part of the schedule that was transferred to NEMCO, the TCN asset. But government gave approval for the Ministry of Power to use that asset. So basically, it's under the study of Ministry of Power now, but it's actually part of the assets that was transferred to NEMCO. So it's scheduled in NEMCO. Government gave the Ministry of Power as supervising ministry. Yes, so I think it's a government administration. For Kaduna Disco and Ano Disco, they are also part of the assets transferred to us, and they are also part of those who listed in the first phase of sale. The valuation of those assets is currently going on, sir, to be able to ascertain the exact value of those assets. I think I've answered the 5 questions, the first phase of 5 questions.
Yes, and you did that with all sense of, I think, sincerity and commitment. Thank you, the Chief Executive NEMCO. When you were answering one of the questions, I listened to you say that you have issues or challenges as regards the definition of what are the core assets are, and whether the existing structures, some of these people are still occupied, whether they are falling part of your responsibility as NEMCO. I feel you are being guided not only by agreement, you must also be guided by a framework in terms of reference. And there is no two way about that as far as it goes. No two ways. It's either they are under your jurisdiction as stated by the terms of your agreement and the legal framework you are operating upon, or they are not. And as long as they are, then there should be no doubt whatsoever. There should be no contemplation on your own part to do the right thing. You are there acting on behalf of the government and the people of the country. And I think whatever seems to be like undermining or shortchanging the Nigerian people or Nigerian government in whichever guise, that should not be accepted. I just want to add this is my word, and I hope you look at that appropriately and do the right thing. You cannot say you are challenged by any circumstances as long as you have a comprehensive legal framework governing your operation. And everybody must be guided by that. Nobody should be above the law. If I will tell you, some of the insinuations out there on the street is that they are not paying and you guys are compromising. They don't pay or whatever, but they come around through the window or through the back door and make some returns in terms of proceeds. These are structures that are belonging to the very government that are trusted under your custody. I think it's my opinion, the opinion of the chair, and I believe by extension the opinion of most members of this side, that government and Nigerian people should not be shortchanged in any circumstance. Get those rent paid as and when due. And if you have any trouble, the framework also goes further to define the next line of action. You are under obligation to take every step to make sure that what you are doing is exactly what you are expected of. Please, that's just my remarks on behalf of the committee. Thank you and God bless you.
We take this meeting very serious, and we appreciate your support over the years, over the months, for making sure that the sector that we oversight is driven properly. So we are not alone at NEC. We work with you one-on-one, we work with you as a group, and we want to really appreciate the chairman of the Power Committee for who's been hands-on in making sure the sector is driven properly. Yes, within our act, within the mandate given to us as a commission, we have to provide access, ensure there's access of electricity to all Nigerian citizens. We have to make sure the electricity is affordable price to people, to citizens, and of course to make it reliable and ensure that the quality of service of power to our country, to the populace is assured. In addition, we promote competitive markets. We try to ensure we attract other investors, not just the new comers to the market. We ensure also that there is a good, responsive safety and adherence to safety of the components of people, as well as ensuring that all the necessary grid standards, the grid standard is obeyed. Yes, there have been challenges over the last several years in the sector, and hence we want to appreciate you asking us to come forward to share with us exactly sufficient documents that support the intervention of government for all the challenges that this sector has faced. The sector has faced challenges in liquidity. The sector has faced challenges of not being able to overcome the interface challenges, both in the economy and in the technical realms. So, and there are many other challenges that customer has faced, many challenges that investors have faced. As a regulator, we've taken it as a serious problem to be the interface between the government, the investors, and the customer. We acknowledge, therefore, your letter inviting us today, the letter dated 15th June 2020, requesting for specific information related to the sector, the power sector. The required documents, which I will be discussing, has to do with the intervention of the Nigerian government to the sector. The government, in recognition of its critical role of the power sector, which is in my report, recognize that the economic growth of any country solely depends on power, and if it's not done, it affects poverty, and so we have to eradicate poverty, provide financial intervention to the industry, but primarily focusing on the liquidity that we encounter in the sector. And this has led to government coming up with instruments, such instruments as making sure there's a power purchase agreement within NBET to be able to pay back to the GENCOs. The information that we'll be presenting will show clearly how the disbursement of the money that was given by the government and being used. So the reports are divided into 4 sections. It includes the disbursement of the 701 billion, which is popularly known as 701B, plus another 600 billion, which is called the Payment Assurance Facility. These two together provide the Payment Assurance Facility to the GENCOs, who provide the power to the disposal market. And the 380 billion shortfall that is meant to be available as a shortfall for the year 2020. So I will also go further and discuss the 230 billion naira that has been was provided to the Nigerian Electricity Market Stabilization Fund. Details of new tariff regime, including details of net regulatory charges and the regime of tariff change that we've been monitoring and working with, and we'll be discussing that later. So first, permit me, the Honorable, to go through the first part of the bullet on approved a new tariff regime in NTA, Nigerian electric industry. So the MITO, this is called the multi-year tariff in 2015. The tariff was meant to be reviewed annually, which is what we do at NEC. We do it biannually, and it's based on changes of macroeconomic indices, whether there's a gas price rate, deviation from projected generating power plants, output or capacity. So over the years, since the effective date of March 2015, when this multi-year tariff was to take place, there have been changes in the indices, there have been many regulations that empower delivered to the discos. But the industry tariff was frozen due to litigation. There was a litigation against the tariff order that was issued by NEC. There was a court case, and that lasted 2018, but on 3 of 2018, before the case was discharged. And at the end, that means we will now do a tariff review, raised to be adjusted as accordingly to account for all the substantial costs that took place in 2015 to now. The payments that were due to the NBET were inadequate to cover the obligation of NBET agreement, power purchase agreement from the GENCOs. So in other words, all the grid connected generating companies had to be paid for providing electricity. So the disparity between the approved tariff and the actual end user tariff, which are indicated in chart number 1 on page 2. Summary, it just says clearly there's a current tariff, which is what customers currently pay, and there is the end user, the deficit in the tariff. So the red color represents the deficit, and the blue color at the bottom of that picture represents the tariff that is currently paid in Nigeria. Since there are 11 discos, each of the discos have different tariff they charge. For example, AEDC currently charge on the average, the weighted average of 32 naira 7. So, and of course, BEDC charges 92.5, which is showing the 92 naira and 5. And of course, approximately down the road, you see that each of the discos are all charging in the range of 30 naira per kilowatt hour. However, there's a deficit for that charge. There's a deficit. Actually, there's a deficit of approximately 22 naira. So if you add the deficit for the actual charge now, it's still at 50 naira. But we are not charging 50 naira now. Discos are charging less than 50 naira. So because of the deficit. Who is paying for this deficit? How did it come about? So it is this particular purchase agreement that NBET executes to make sure that the obligations of GENCOs are paid, but they do not depend on these end users having compensation. So the government of our country has provided intervention, intervention 1. This intervention is to ensure that all the payment obligations are honored to a large extent as well due. It is also to be noted that the capacity of NBET to execute the bankable VPS is predicted on the ability to pay all the IPPs, independent power producers, for energy and capacity in a timely manner. So the financial intervention provided by the federal government were therefore basically to cover the difference between the cost reflective and the allowed tariff charge of customer. So if you're using the current language, so government is already providing an adjusted tariff to support what customer currently pay. And that is the difference of approximately 20 naira per kilowatt compared to what highest customer currently pay. Again, this charge to the customers and the federal government contribution therefore has helped to at least overcome the liquidity, but the subsidy overcome the liquidity that the single government in the country. So this is what led to the cost loan. It's a loan of 1 billion naira to NBET by CBN up to 80 to 90% for general and gas suppliers. So that means the money actually that I as a customer should have provided, or the DISCO should have provided, the government of Nigeria provided that assurance so that the GENCOs can continue to supply power. The funds were budgeted to cover 2017 and 2018, were also supported to all eligible recipients all the way to January 2019. So this is what's going on the report on the 7.1 billion. The 600 billion was also housed at NBET, by CBN as a payment assurance to cover 100% of all the GENCO invoices. But there's need for that in 2019, and also part of the first quarter of 2020. So the funds are released in branches, and the base satisfy the payment assurance, and it's also paid with disbursement triggers. This fund is part of the disbursement triggers for us to be able to have deliverables of the power sector recovery program. The details of 701 and 600 billion will be presented by NBET or here. The tariff for 2020 have been capped by the financial plan put together under the power system recovery, sector recovery program, PSRP, where we noticed there's going to be another shortfall of 380 billion and another 60 billion between quarter 1 and quarter 2 of year 2021. So it is this that the federal government is in the process, which I think has been done for the last 2 weeks, the World Bank loan of 750 million to cover the payment of shortfall in the payment assurance facility. So all the shortfall in the payment facility now is also being covered by the federal government through this loan, through this support that is coming from the World Bank. On table 1 and table 2, really clearly explain the challenge that the sector is experiencing. From 2015 to 2019, we summarize each of the DISCOs, what's the tariff shortfall that I mentioned in terms of the blue and the red color. So each DISCO contributes to the shortfall. For example, Abuja is 20 billion, Benin is 18 billion, 2015. I'll just read across. 2015 is Abuja 20 billion, 2016 70 billion, 2017 another 26 billion, 2018 38 billion, 2019 63 billion. So the total in the last 5 years for one DISCO alone is about, for this one I just read, is 465 billion shortfall that has to be covered by somebody. So if I look through that chart on the same page, Benin, the total is 168 billion for the last 5 years, Eko 154 billion, Enugu 145 billion. If I read all the way down to Ikeja 196, Kano 140 billion, Rapport 149 billion, Yola 78 billion. The total of the shortfall is 1,736 billion 249 billion. That is the total shortfall that the government has to is picking up. That is 1 trillion plus. That's almost 2 trillion. And I know if you compare with our national budget and what we could do with that money is a lot. So I move on. There's also in the process of this shortfall, the government said we will try to wipe away the shortfall. But there is also a market shortfall. I've defined what the shortfall, the tariff is. The market shortfall in the same year or 5 years back is what we expect that when the DISCO collect money from their customers, what we expect, the targeted money we anticipate, was short in this amount. And that amount is what I call DISCO market shortfall. So now we're expecting 100 million, let's say per month, and if it's 50, then it's a market shortfall. So this continuous market, additive of all the addition of all the shortfall, market shortfall, is about 1 trillion 830 million 373 naira again. So you can see that we have a shortfall in tariff and we have a shortfall in the market. Government is trying to now help out with the tariff shortfall. But the market shortfall is the responsibility of the DISCO. By the time we subtract the two, you will see that there is still a net DISCO market there that has to be paid to the balance sheet, which is the total of 94 million that is shown on table number 3. So that gives us a summary, a summary of the shortfalls both in the tariff and in the market. But there's still one particular intervention by the government, which is the famous 230 billion, which we normally call the market capitalization fund, electricity market stabilization fund. Again, following the coming of the privatization in 2013, look at 2013 billion, the DISCOs were required to conduct a baseline study. The baseline study was to enable us being given the license to operate. They were to minimize collection cost losses, technical losses, and commercial losses. The outcome of the study, perhaps, that later.
I'm constrained to also regulation at this point. So you have 2 minutes to propose. Round up and
thank you, sir.
We'll look at other details in the
okay, thank you, sir.
Please.
It's what I have shown on table 4, how the money has been contributed among all the DISCOs and all the other participants in the market. It's not just the DISCOs. On one of the pages, I showed all the beneficiaries of the amount of the 213, and that is shown on page 10. That is appendix 1B. So the disbursement of the 213 billion on the next one is showing all the participants, all those who benefited in terms of approved amount and disbursed amount. Okay, I would like to quickly now go back to talk about next. For 2 minutes. The ESR Act provide the source of funds for the through this in that section, provide and means of funding the commission. And we have funded through fees, charges, and other income connecting to the commission from licenses and other income in terms of this act. In other words, we also can charge fines or penalties. Second funding is the support we receive from the Honorable House is the commission by the National Assembly will provide funds for us, which is the additional funds required for the stable expenditure for capital ventures. The last one, of course, anyone that will belong to the government. From that, we can see in 2014 to 2016, we have shown clearly the regulatory income in terms of income in 2015 to 2016. Of course, it progresses until we fell down to 3 billion. And the licensing fees, all the cumulative money we received in 2016 is 3 billion and so on. So the expenditures, as we noticed, was an
time off.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Through this important and protected platform, can you please let us know what happened to the intended tariff increase on the 1st of July, which many Nigerians expected, and all of a sudden, must come out again, please. What happened to that intended tariff increase that was expected to be done on the 1st of July?
As you know, we have put the order out April 1st in terms of what the context of the order says we are expecting to have, because the DISCO came to us and they asked through an application that they would like to have a tariff increase. Of course, when we went around and visited the whole country with all the different customers, the customers said they were not asked for payment of the increase. We were not the one negotiating the increase. It is the DISCO that wanted increase. However, the customer that we visit all over the country said they do not mind, but it has to be quality based and it has to be reliable power supply. Hence, the new language we term as service reflective tariff. It is that service reflective tariff now that we've been engaging the DISCOs to provide a framework of how to provide a service reflective tariff for all customers of different classes. The July 1 deadline is still there. We're trying to still negotiate between, as you know, between the House and the Executive in terms of final statement on that. So we're still working on it. It's a working in progress. And
of the agreement. It was part of the obligations, extant obligations they are supposed to obey. And nobody anticipated any possible contemplation to even hike the tariff. So whether or not there is tariff increase, certainly the disco should be held responsible. And while we are holding them responsible now, I think you are the policing agency to ensure what is expected of them is done. Please, when you say you have tried, you tried. You cannot try and leave it at that. You try and must get it right. That is why you are a regulator. And you are also protected by law. So please don't take this lightly. The issue of meter is one of the cardinal objectives of this committee. We are so concerned. You all know the disposition of our speaker about meter. The speaker is so passionate and so concerned about meter issue, meter. There was a time he took 2 motions on the same day, on the same week, trying to address this meter issue. You are the regulator. You are regulating for the benefit of consumers. You have no excuse whatsoever to tell this committee that, oh, we have tried that. You cannot try and leave. Try and get it right.
The chairman, in 2015, there was a presidential initiative to supply meters to Nigerians in a bid to address metering issues. A total sum of $192 million facility was arranged for this purpose. Can you explain the operational of the facilities? And what is the position of the facilities now? Has it addressed the metering issue? Because a sum of $192 million has been expended by the federal government on this issue. So please can you explain, Mr. Chairman?
This was one of the mandates of one of the signed document by the discourse that they will reduce losses. And to reduce losses on their behalf, they don't have to provide meters. But at the end of the day, it wasn't done. So what, and you talk about analog and digital. Yes, with the analog meters work, is to give you the same measurement of voltage, current, and frequency. However, days are gone where people do analog. Yes, most people are now in digital world. So in many of our orders that we passed in recent years, we have actually recognized not only digital meters, but smart meters. So smart meters in homes, smart meters on the feeders, smart meters that will give us even location of fault in different locations, in different feeders. So we are making this a very fast stage in terms of making sure that the quality of devices or the state-of-the-art devices are being used. And of course that will cost money, but it's even better. It will reduce quality of, to increase quality of supply. And customer therefore will be happy. But you know, you are not going to disown all the existing people that still work. So the important thing is, if it doesn't work, I suggest that customers will complain. They are getting excessive claims to their disco of the franchise network so that they can do a good replacement. For that, what we have done is that all the MAPs, that is the meter asset provider, we're giving them a particular requirement, specification of what type of meter they should have. And all manufacturers, whether locally or overseas, are required to obey by this standard. So we are on target, we are on board, and we are doing exactly what you expect us to do with respect to making sure quality of meter is actually accurate. And again, we need to encourage local content, because that's important, so that it's done by Nigerian content. So the other thing that I think came up with this issue was making sure that the 2015, remember I talked about 2013 billion. That is part of the money that was to help discos in general to overcome the deficit in terms of providing meters when you bought the asset, whether there was a wrong calculation or error in terms of what is available on the ground. So that money was put there. And of course, if it was misused, we at NEC in 2017, 2018, we went after all the discos that misused that money. As we know in this very hall, you know what we did. We went after a number of discos, and we told them that they have to return their money for your information, sir. They are returning their money. So we are not quiet. We are not toothless. We took action when we discovered abuse of funds and abuse of opportunity that we mentioned in 2013-2015. So I don't want to go in detail to say, well, this is number one disco that we put on in front of you. You know it when we came here, and you actually ask me to go back. They know they have to pay their money, and they believe this as they are paying their money. So we think we are getting the market right. We straighten out things, and of course, what you do when things are at the bottom, you must work from the bottom up, and that's what we'll be doing.
We all know that the issue of metering is still a persistent problem to the consumer. So I want to suggest, despite the fact that he has shed light on it, he should write and furnish the committee with details of the operations of that facility so that we can look deeper. That is my submission. Thank you.
I would like to thank my senior colleague, the ranking member, Jawan Ali, for trying to help the chairman answer the question you asked him about the tariff increase on the 1st of July. Let me quote a caption from one of the what we have just received here. Having adopted A, T, C, and C as a preferred method of privatization of the discount, the federal government was made aware that given existing A, T, and C loss level at 50% in the nation, it was impossible to implement the real cost of electric tariff. NAC proposed a 5-year transition program of between 300 to 400 billion. However, federal government approved 2-year transition support of 100 billion, which was not executed. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask you, at the beginning of this privatization, what was the dollar rate? And what is the dollar rate today? Because, and what was the AT&C loss? And what is the present AT&C loss? Because invariably, we are not going to allow anyone to push this on Nigerians. A proper work has to be done before this kind of decision is taken. And I put it to you, as your own chairman, it is your responsibility, not the discourse responsibility.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Thank you.
With the support I see coming on the horizon, locally made meter will be out there. In fact, it's part of our requirement on the local content that President Buhari recommended that we should by this time begin to manufacture meters in-house in Nigeria. 5 years from now, I think it's doable because the meter cost will go down and we have enough technologies and students all over the professors in Nigeria working with industrial giants to make this happen. It's just making sure we have the materials, whether it's cheap to make it. So I think it's that is the priority for the country. And in fact, it should be not only for meters, for many of the components we use in the engineering system for the electricity industry. So that's the answer to that point, Ori. The issue of my chair with respect to this 1st of July issue, I do agree that ATC and C issue is one of the minimum requirements for us to go down, but please let me just summarize quickly that these goals were asked over before we embarked on this journey. They made an application to us, and I think two of these persons are combined. We are not the one who go out here and try to promote service tariff increase. As a regulator, the rate is determined once they have come to us and said we would like to have an adjustment on our rate. We do 2 reviews every year. We call it 2 minor reviews. This minor review allows us to take advantage of what I said earlier in terms of all the economic changes in the market, in terms of GDP, foreign exchange, and all the above. It is that which led the DISCO to come to us. Engineer Bodil, they came to us, they made an application, and we went all over the country and had a public hearing. We went all over the country, and through the public hearing, the DISCO spoke, and the consumers advocacy also spoke. And we never just listened. The consumer said, we are not averse to tariff increase. But these are the criteria, these are subject to the following conditions. This you must do. You must provide us quality service. You must fix our transformer. We don't want to pay for transformer. So we agree and we thought that, okay, this goes, you hear what your customer said. They don't mind tariff increase, but you must do one thing well. You must provide quality service. You must minimize interruption. You must make sure the supply of power is reliable. So take away from that, they agreed to do it or not. They came back, and what did they agree to do? They said, okay, we will do this if we have different bands of electricity them to come up with what we can, on the behalf of the customer, and say, look, the discos are ready. They will provide 24 hours supply in this area. It will be 18 here, it will be 16, it will be 12, it will be 8 and 4 hours back. So that's what has been going on. So we did here, we listened carefully to what the different customers said and what the disco said they would do in return. But we're not going to go play this change until we make sure the discos are willing and ready to do that which they are promised the customer. So with respect to our engagement, I think we did the right thing by making sure that the initiative for the tariff is done by the disco for the increase, but we added the word service reflective to be sure that the customer aspect of their mandate or request during the hearing is met. So I don't think nothing is wrong. We are going through our act. Our regulation allows us to listen, to take application, and to go around the country and to get buy-in into what is to be done. And to my opinion, it's a win-win. Disco will win, customer will win. So it's all good for everybody. With respect to ATC and C, I think that's another question. We have said a lot about that. The aggregate technical, commercial, and collection losses. We demand through the so-called performance improvement plan that each discos are supposed to submit to us during this tariff increase engagement. It is there they have a plan, maybe a 5-year plan or a 2-year plan, a different milestone of what they will do to increase the quality of their service, especially the network, to make sure the network losses are reduced, to make sure they buy into smart meters that will be able to, they'll be used to collect and to make sure collection of bills are done properly. In fact, one of the presidential initiatives that we put to as an order in the commission is the so-called, we call it automated billing, which is also already in place, which all the consumers will enjoy through their disco. Now, the quality of service, part of the regulation that was sent out is the following: that all the feeders will be monitored to ensure that the customers are not shortchanged, that the customers at both 11 or 11 kV line or 33 kV line will be monitored in terms of the quality of service provided by the disco authority. When we talk about the issue of this shortfall, I thought I should explain it one more time. We are saying that we now realize that the shortfall cannot be a permanent thing where government will keep on paying bills. So what we are keep on providing subsidy, as you said, that is why we engage them in this so-called minimum remittance, and also making sure by this certain government will hands up and the school will be able to take on their business, run it, and make money and provide service to their customers. This is why we are not in the forefront, because they are the ones who are in the business. Our job as regulator is to make sure we protect the customer and also protect the market, so that everybody is benefiting from the electricity industry in Nigeria. So the tariff advocacy, I should mention it, all over the world, the regulator is not the one who go out here and start advocating the rate change. So that is why in Nigeria we are not the one to advocate rate change. In the US, in Europe, all rates in the race code were informed, and it's done in Nigeria, that our job is to listen to the marketer, which are the disco in this case. What do they want to sell? How much they want to sell it? And it is our job to make sure it's done right and nobody is shortchanged in the process. The responsibility of the issue of adequacy of meter I have mentioned, and of course the number of available meters that you've asked me is also still continues to be a question, but we think that we are the right target, and the ATC and C losses that you also is also the right target. So basically, I think I will have summarized the questions in all the ones that you've asked me. They are all overlapping questions, and it's been dealt with in terms of our responsibility to make sure we save the industry and provide necessary oversight and take necessary action when it is not done. So we are licensed, we have license to operate, to perform, and when you fail, there are orders to ensure that penalty is given. So that's basically what I would say with respect to most of the questions.
Lawyer, please.
Oh, on the serious issue.
I said no. I deliberately put out the serious issue. We'll get to that on a separate topic. Please, honorable members.
What percentage of does that represent based on our need? And why are meters fixed? Are they not supposed to be based on competitive process that we procure? Meaning, are the prices not supposed to be changing, or are they supposed to be fixed? If they are fixed, why?
It's over 200, it's almost 300,000 meters that will be installed. That is the 1-year plan of. They have not made the target because of all the challenges they have with respect to custom duties, which are finally overcoming for them, and of course due to a lot of foreign exchange challenge, which is also overcome. The issue of the cost of meter will be
so that we know the percentage so far.
Well, the target, let's say, we had the contracted number was average of about 585,000 liters. The contracted target we have in the year. But as I said, we've only probably met less than we only be able to meter about 266. So that's not good. Yeah. So I think what I want to say in terms of the cost of meter, we invited the meter set providers. They came up with different price range. We also do a survey and see what is the typical cost of meter all over the world, in Ghana, other parts of Africa. We compare with overseas, and we realize the best price, and from there we make sure it's the right price. From there we were able to find the minimum of all the submission for each of the districts, which we now use to set the price. But that's not fixed, as we said. It is for that moment when we have meter set provider who are looking for parameters and wanted to make sure the cost of meter is standardized. So as we go forward, the meter price will probably go down, and technology increases or improves. You will see that the current cost of meter may even be on the high side. That's what was made to happen. So it's not a fixed price forever, but it was a price fixed among solutions that we think is best for the customer. But what's well, I think you can do more. It's always better to say I can do more. The success is very 80%, 90%.
So can we see the success? So far, we have about 50% achieved. Can we see the single time? Is it a success?
But if 50% than zero is better than nothing.
In single time.
Okay, the success
Is it a
for
success?
without us, we have done well.
Okay, Chairman.
I did not say I have arrived. I said we're going to do more. I think that's better.
Yes, and you are understood in the context you are speaking, please, and you are protected.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
As you and what the other Mudir is doing now, where we are having data all over the countries, monitoring and making sure not only we want to know how much power is going to a typical feeder of transmission and distribution companies, 11 and 3 kV, but at the same time we want to even know the quality of that power from that feeder in terms of frequency of outage on that feeder. We are also measuring quality of service on that feeder, and we are trying to make sure that the standards of voltage, frequency, and power in that feeder is measured remotely at NEC. In fact, it's one of the things we put in this order April 1st, 2020. And to that extent, we at NEC are giving ourselves some work to do. And what we said we'll do is that we will put data loggers, we will put all these measurement meters by ourselves, and the DISCO are also supposed to contribute to putting this in the DISCO and the TCM. But on our own, we're going to have a server at NEC that will be monitoring it daily and see whether they are being kept, and we can now determine how much power is coming from each of the feeder in all over the country. And at the same time, to what extent is it meeting the criteria we set for quality service? So it is a good question, sir, and in fact, it's timely. That is what we are doing now at NEC.
We are Niger Delta Power Holding Company.
We were incorporated in 2005 under the Companies and Allied Matters Act as the legal vehicle to implement the National Integrated Power Project using private sector-oriented best practices. He's very busy. Honorable Leader, members of this committee, I have submitted a presentation, 25 copies. I've also submitted the listed requirements as attachments or listed documents. I'm sure they are before honorable members now. As I've mentioned, we're a limited liability company. We're owned by the Federation. We're owned by the three tiers of government of the Federation: the federal, the state, and the local governments. To implement, we were set up to implement the National Integrated Power Project, which was a fast-track government initiative to add significant new electricity generation capacity with associated transmission, distribution, and gas infrastructure to the electricity supply industry in Nigeria. My presentation looks voluminous, but please don't worry, I will just take us through it. 10 minutes, I'm done. Our scope so far has been developing generation projects with the associated gas infrastructure projects, transmission projects, distribution projects, as well as solar home systems. If you can just please go with me to I think that should be the first main slide with the list of generation companies. Slide 5, actually, is numbered as slide 5, but that's the first main content. Honorable Leader, you will see the list of 10 generation plants which were designed to develop. Out of these 10, 6 have been fully completed, 2 partially completed, so the whole 8 tied to the grid and generating electricity or ready to generate electricity. Only 2 are uncompleted, fully uncompleted. Honorable Leader, members of this committee, the total installed capacity we have developed so far, is 4,047 megawatts. 4,047 megawatts installed capacity. From these 8 operational power plants, we were meant to develop about 5,000. So about 1,000 has not been developed due to the issues we have. I mentioned that Olonshogo in Ogun State, Ogorode, that's Sapele in Delta State, Omotosho in Ondo State, Geregu in Kogi State, Ihova in Benin, Edo State, and Calabar in Cross River State. Aloji in Abia is partially completed. It's supposed to be combined cycle, that's gas turbine and steam turbine. The 4 gas turbines, 500 megawatts, completed generating whenever they are called up by the transmission company to generate. No problem with gas, no problem with transmission, except the systemic transmission issues. Bahrain, 2 units, 1 has been completed, commissioned in the grid. 1 is ongoing at commissioning stage now. We have our commissioning team now in Bahrain to bring the remaining commission. There will be 250 megawatts altogether, that's in Bahrain. Omoku, not completed at all. Egbema, not completed at all. So, Aloji and Bahrain are partially completed.
This is where we come to the end of the program from the National Assembly for this week. We thank you for your time. Remember to join us same time next week for another package. I'm Lami Ali.